Hey, hey, hey! It's the first ever real estate marathon. I'm your host, Jas Takhar. See the face, he is the CEO of Greybrook Securities. He's my man, Sasha Cucuz. What's going on, Sasha?
Well, living the dream. Except,
Yes, you are.
You put me on after rap? How do I follow that? It's like, it's a Saturday, I'm kind of easing into the day, and then I have to beat that? Like, come on.
Guys, I got the best job in the world. I'm telling you, because I sit here and I get to laugh and I get to smile. I got people like Sasha coming on. Rav's a special guy. He definitely is. You know him for a very long time.
I've known him for a long time. I love him, and I just can't do better. So it's downhill from here. At least
I guess so. We'll see how it goes. We'll see how it goes.
We'll see. At least you don't have Peter here.
Yeah, that's actually the best. Big shout out to Peter. I'm not gonna play with him, Peter. Don't worry. Peter, I guess you guys are like formal business partners.
We are.
How long have you guys been to? Like how long have you guys been?
16 years.
Wow, wow. Seamus and I are going on to 15 years. So I know how it is, man. It's a lot of fun doing it with somebody that you like and you kind of have fun with,
it's
right?
fun. I mean, you guys talked with Rav about sort of the importance of balancing life and balancing business, and you have to do what you're passionate about. You have to like the people you do it with, because you spend a lot of time doing it, and if you just dread it, it's not going to be good.
Sasha, I have you on here, my man. For anybody who doesn't know, REC and Greybrook, we go back a very, very long time. But for me personally, both Sasha and both Peter have been mentors. I've been speaking about this. You guys are getting a pattern, I'm sure. It's not just all these books, okay? But it's actually people who have steered us in the right directions, not only by watching their successes, but actually them sharing their failures with us. And these two gentlemen, Greybrook as a whole, has... you guys are part of our success so much because of your help and your mentorship. So thank you for that.
It's a two-way street, and I think our relationship's a great one. You guys are among the best in the business, both business-wise and people-wise.
Thank you.
So hopefully many years to come.
Now we got a couple of thousand people, okay, watching this right now.
So
small group, just a small group, just a small group today. Majority of people have not heard of who Greybrook is because there's a lot of new people.
Yeah.
We have a lot of what we call REC insiders and your list, the people that you know in your Rolodex at Greybrook. A lot of them they do cross paths, but today's group, they don't know who Greybrook is, Sasha. So I want you to talk about who is Greybrook, and then we're going to talk about how you can actually invest your RRSPs. And at any time, guys, for us to get you introduced to the team at Greybrook, I'm telling you, if you like working with REC, you're going to love working with the boys and the girls at Greybrook. Just shoot us an email, info@reccanada.com. Bobby Pune, Tyler Walborn, put that up there. It's info@reccanada.com for us to connect you with Greybrook and all things that they do. So back to you, my man. Okay. Who is Greybrook?
I'll try to give it a quick elevator pitch. Usually it takes me very long. I'll try to condense it in a couple minutes. So Greybrook's a private equity firm, as you know.
Yeah.
For those of you that are new to us, we invest primarily in residential development. We invest equity, so we're not a lender or a mortgage company. We invest equity consisting of our own capital as well as capital of our over 7,000 now investor partners in 32 different countries.
Wow, I didn't know you guys were in that many countries as well.
Yeah, so we have we have an office in Tel Aviv in Israel. We have an office in Vancouver.
Okay.
We manage over $1 billion of investment capital, which totals about $15 billion worth of development. And I would say that the unique feature, aside from going into the methods which you can use to invest, we talk a lot about active investment, passive investment. This is a way for the viewers to really think about passively investing their money. We have an entire firm. We consist of 75 people. We go to work for you every day, and we manage these developments to their conclusion and successful conclusion. So it kind of gives you the peace of mind. So while you're undergoing active strategies where you're buying real estate, you're doing whatever it is that you're doing, whether you're buying and renting or buying and renovating or whatever your strategy is, there's a component of your capital that you can have working for you, just like what you talked about with Rav. And that's in fact how we initially met Rav. Rav was very actively investing his own capital, managing his own capital effectively, but then he was looking for a way to leverage all that he was doing and being able to create more time for himself. And that's where we kind of met, and he started to invest with us. So really the effective use of a firm like ours is to kind of take what you want to invest on a passive basis and consider a group like ours. And that's where the RRSPs and things come in.
So we'll talk about the methods, but I always like to, when I get a chance to speak with you, because you have overwatched kind of both aspects of what GreyBrook does, the real estate component and the healthcare component.
Sure.
This is a real estate marathon, but it's really high level. It's about investing. Rav talked about stocks. We had Michael talk a little bit about stocks. We had everyone talk a little bit about all these different types of investments. So I actually want you to speak about, because you do a phenomenal job. You and I did a podcast back in London, Ontario, at a bar with Justin Conoco. And he'll be on at some time too soon, so make sure you guys stick around. Talk to us about the healthcare division as well as the real estate division, and I guess how do they differ?
Yeah, so they're very different. Sometimes when people describe us and say that we invest in healthcare and real estate, a lot of times we hear, "Oh, great, you invest in retirement homes."
Right? Yeah.
They automatically combine healthcare and real estate. For us, they're very different streams. So on the real estate side, as I explained, we invest equity in development. So we think of it as the manufacturing of housing.
Okay.
Right? So we talk a lot about, there's a lot of investment options as it relates to buying real estate as a consumer and then benefiting from market appreciation and cash flow. We kind of think of ourselves as the wholesaler, right? So there's two ways to kind of play that coin. So that's what we do on the real estate side. On the healthcare side, very different. So we invest in kind of early stage medical companies. So medical device companies, healthcare services businesses, as we call them. So those are clinics and different medical services. We've been doing that since, really, we started the business in 2004.
Okay.
Peter and I have another partner named Elias Van Bacchus, and he's a healthcare expert. He's founded and grown many healthcare companies. So in that side of the business, I like to think that it's a great way to make money because obviously it's profitable. They've been very good investments for us. But at the same time, you really feel like you're making an impact as well.
Oh, I like that.
Which I think is a huge one.
For sure.
Our last investment was in a company that treats depression and other mental illnesses. And we started that with one, investment. And now today there's over 130 clinics in the US that treat this effectively. And that's something that you get the gratitude of not only, it's a great financial investment, but, you feel like you're making a real impact.
You're giving back, right?
Yeah,
you're making that impact. Now, jumping back to real estate, your list of partners from developers' perspective is like amazing. Talk a little bit about how that came about and who they are as well.
Yeah, sure. So the way it came about, truth be told, is before we started investing in real estate, we were kind of more investing on the healthcare side. So we were investing kind of as venture capitalists almost. Okay. And the one thing I think it taught us was, execution is everything. Like every business plan looks great. Every PowerPoint looks great.
Everybody has ideas.
Yeah, the ideas and the math on a page all looks great. But then if everything was as easy as execution to the way that the PowerPoint looked, then everybody would be a billionaire. There's a lot of things that happen, a lot of curveballs that go your way. And the thing that you learn is it's about the team and how they handle it and how they can manage through adversity and challenges and things like that. So on the real estate side, when we started investing, our first partnership was with a developer called Plaza Corp. Okay. Among the best in
And that's
Canada.
not us, like he just went over that name. Plaza Corp is one of the biggest names.
Yeah, they're one of the biggest and best.
Yeah.
So we were fortunate enough to partner with them in the early years and really learn a lot about the business, but more importantly, learn about how critical execution was. So you have to have the right plan and you have to have the right financial aspirations and be within reason, but at the same time, when the rubber hits the road, all kinds of things happen that you don't plan for, and you need to know how to deal with them. So that's where experience and execution is most important. So as we started to expand our model past just working with Plaza Corp, the first and foremost thing on our list wasn't so much the property and exactly the corner we're buying. Yes, that's critical, but first and foremost was who are we buying it with?
Got it.
So we kind of sought out to try and work with the biggest and the best. Fortunately for us, through our work with Plaza Corp, we had developed a reputation as not only being, I think good partners, but good people.
Right.
And that kind of led us to others that, real estate's as much as it's a big business, people from that aren't in the industry sometimes think that all these developers are just fierce competitors with one another.
Right. It's not really like that.
It's not. I mean, I think there's a lot of cooperation. You see a lot of developers working together because at the end of the day, they're community building. It's not about when you go into a new community where you're putting 800, 1,000, 2,000 homes, and there's different developers doing it, there has to be a lot of cooperation, because it's not just about you doing things in your silo and me doing things in my silo. So through that process, we were able to be introduced to other large-scale developers, and you do a good job for them, and you develop great relationships, and word gets around, and other people seek to work with you.
And that's how it happens.
Yeah.
Now, for somebody who's watching and listening, how does the actual investment work? I want to talk about the mechanics. We're really good on time here, Sasha. So please take your time. And for anybody who wants to learn more about what GreyBrook does, shoot us an email at info@reccanada.com. I told you at the start, I got Bobby, I got Tyler, I got Luke. They're standing by right now, making live introductions in the back. It's info@reccanada.com. If you've already sent 42 emails, send the 43rd email. It's a marathon. I've been going for a while, guys. Send that email. The team will make the introductions. Talk to us about how the actual investment works now, Sasha.
Sure. So it's very simple, yet incredibly complicated. So,
I love how you set it up. Perfect.
So for everybody who is not me, Peter, or people that work at GreyBrook, it's actually pretty simple.
Right. You guys make it complicated with each other.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the complexity lies in the fact that development is very complicated. It's very dynamic. It's something that that we've done now over 60 developments, and every time you're doing it, there's circumstances that you are seeing for the first time in many cases. But again, the team matters, the experience matters, and that's how we navigate it. But really, as an equity partner, we are the owners of the development. Right, so unlike a lender where I'm sort of, lending a developer money and saying, okay, on these dates you're paying me back my money plus interest. You don't have a lot of interest in the decision making. We, on behalf of our investors, are making critical decisions. So when we partner with a developer, let's say in this example you're the developer and we're GreyBrook, we generally put up, our investors and us, put up 80% of the equity.
Okay.
You put up 20% of the equity. We own the land together, and now that disproportionate investment. What do you got to do for that? Well, you got to do all the work.
Right.
Not only all the work, but when it comes down to getting a construction loan, when it comes down to supporting the project, if there was ever any need for more capital, that's got to come from you.
For me, Jas, as the developer.
As the developer.
Okay.
So our capital goes in, and there's no more capital calls. You can't be asked for any more money, and our ownership percentage can never change.
Okay.
So the developer has to put up all of that additional financial support where it's required.
Right.
And that's obviously a large burden and a large liability. So for that reason, it matters that we work with the biggest developers because they have the financial wherewithal for that.
And the reputation.
And the reputation and all those things. The relationships with the banks.
For sure.
So all of this to say that as owners, we now have a seat at the table.
Yes.
And we're making decisions together with the developer.
Love it.
They are doing the day-to-day. They have GreyBrook there not only overseeing, we're supporting their process.
Sasha, is it fair if I say this is a very high-level joint venture? Like just for...
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you. Okay, because I want to try to bring it down and narrow it, like really bring it to the micro,
That's exactly right.
It's a joint venture at really kind of the best level possible because you got a company like GreyBrook doing what they're doing, and then you're partnering with a developer.
Absolutely right.
Continue.
So just like an investor would do a joint venture with a partner, it is the exact same thing.
Okay.
Benefit, of course, being you have, in this case, two large organizations and all of their infrastructure.
Yes.
Plus their balance sheet capability, right? All of that is very important. And thirdly, you have, the overall sort of experience that these two organizations bring. So that's kind of what you get in the equation.
Yes.
And then lastly and importantly is these large scale projects have tremendous economies of scale.
Right.
That you don't typically see in smaller projects. So those are all the benefits. It's managed exactly like that. So we in a joint venture have decision making, we make these decisions together, and at the end we split the profit. That's more or less the model. Now why is it simple for an investor?
Yeah.
Well, the complexity kind of happens behind closed doors.
Yes.
And we report to people and all that kind of thing. But as far as investors go, what do they look for? They look to understand who the partners are, what the project looks like, and in everything we do, we're not a fund. So it's not like you put your money in and we choose where it goes.
Right.
Every deal is its own deal. People can see the actual piece of property.
It's a 123 Main Street.
Absolutely.
That's what we're doing.
You know what you're buying. You know what the plan is. You know who the partners are. You know what our financial parameters are looking like. And from there, you can make an investment decision. And what we've done over the years, and we were probably the first to do this actually in Canada, but we were able to create a structure where you can actually use registered funds.
Yes.
So what better way to use passive capital than capital that's sitting there probably for the next 10, 15, 20, 30 years for some people.
Making 2-3% in a mutual, like
Right, like I mean, like whatever your alternatives
yeah,
are,
right.
whatever they are, this stacks up as well or better. Okay.
Yes.
And I think in real estate, inherently, it's a long-term game. I know
Yes.
people want to, especially development. I know people typically like to think about things in 2, 3, 4 year increments.
Yeah.
But in development, when you're buying a piece of land, you're taking it through a process, you're opening a sales center, you're building it, and then you're moving people in. That can take anywhere from 3 to 7 or 8 years, depending on what you're doing.
Yeah.
So for investments like that are on the longer end, why not use your RSPs? Why not use your
You're not taking them
your
out
RIFs,
anyways.
right. Like, so they're just, it's money that you're not going to be drawing on for your lifestyle for a long period of time.
Right.
So you may as well multiply it and make it grow for you.
Right.
And our sort of objective is to try to double our investors' money every 4 to 5 years. That's kind of what we're looking to do. So if somebody invests $100, $100,000, whatever the number is,
Right.
our objective is, every 4 or 5 years to try to turn that 100 into 200. That's kind of the model.
Just say that again, man, because that's not like, that's big monies and big returns, right? I want to make sure everybody catches. So if somebody invests $100,000 that's in their RRSPs, you're looking into, giving them a return of getting their 100,000 back plus another 100,000.
So our target is generally about 20% a year. That's what we target with our investments. So depending on the duration, and most of them are going to be at least 4 or 5 years.
Right.
We're looking at essentially 100% over 5 years if we're successful, and thankfully, in most of our investments, we've been very successful.
Your experience, a lot of our REC insiders have already invested with you guys. I personally have family and friends, blood relatives that are invested in my boy Sasha wouldn't even be sitting here if I didn't believe in Greybrook's type of investments as much as myself, CMOS REC does as a whole. I've said it before, I'm going to say it again. Get to info@reccanada.com. I don't know what opportunities you have coming up. I'm not sure if you can even share with our viewers if there's something coming up around the corner.
Yeah, sure. We work on things all the time.
Yeah.
I guess I can say on a general basis, we like to play primarily in the GTA, not because we're afraid to go invest outside of the GTA. We have, as I mentioned, our healthcare companies are all over America.
Right.
It's really that the GTA has what we believe to be the strongest fundamentals anywhere in the world. And, obviously we're in the middle of a pandemic and there's a lot of questions that people are asking. And one I get a lot is, well, what are you doing differently? And the one thing that, I say to them is we're not really doing anything that differently. And that's not to sound flippant or that we're ignoring the
like a cop-out or something of the
pandemic.
Yeah.
But when you think about the fundamentals that drive the GTA, and you think about sort of real estate being a long-term game, you have to kind of try and look past what's happening today and maybe what's happening over the next 12 or 18 or 24 months and try to think about what that long-term trend is. So a good example of that would be, people talk about immigration and they're like, well, nobody's, Toronto and Canada relies on immigration.
Yeah.
Nobody's moving anywhere.
Right.
And I always say, look, that may be true, but the government doesn't create immigration targets based on 12 months. They create them based on 20 years, 30 years, 40 years. And I feel comfortable that a place like Toronto, a place like Canada is going to continue to attract for the same reasons that they attracted before. So the answer to the question is we're business as usual as it relates to new acquisitions. So what we're looking to do is high rise in the core. So we're very particular about high rise in the GTA or in the Toronto, city of Toronto.
Right.
Around the city of Toronto, we invest in any ground related housing. So semis, towns, single family.
You guys touch Mississauga,
everything in the GTA as far west as Cambridge, Kitchener, Hamilton, Durham region. We have a lot invested in Durham region because we're true believers. When people talk about Toronto is really Toronto and not only the GTA but also the Greater Golden Horseshoe and the Tech Triangle.
Yes, so like Southern Ontario, right?
Would you say? If you think about Canada, it's 34 million people. 14 of those people live in Ontario.
Yeah.
Right. So a vast majority of the population is in this region.
Right.
And I think we have a lot of fundamentals driving us. So as for what we have coming up on deck, probably in the next 30 or 40 days, we have an investment that is in the sort of Yorkville area of Toronto.
Love it.
Obviously prime sort of high-rise territory. A lot of demand there. So that's kind of coming up around the corner. We're looking at some low-rise projects in the peripheral areas, one in Brampton, one in Mississauga, one in Bowmanville. And then lastly, we have a platform that we invest in the United States, and we have a project that's going on a rental project going on in Wynwood, which is in Miami. It's kind of the arts and entertainment district in Miami.
Yeah.
We've done a lot in Miami. We can talk a lot about that today.
Yeah.
But it's a tremendous market there for rental. A lot of young people. It's sort of that urban demographic, and we've been very successful there. So we have one coming in about 20 days.
Love it. Sasha, you've been talking with investors for a very long time. You yourself personally are an investor. I've heard you speak at like major summits. What's that one tip that you can give somebody that's watching right now that's scared to make that jump, take that leap of faith? What would you say to them, my man?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. I think for me, it's investment, whether it's real estate or anything else, is a long-term business. Okay. You have to look.
So you're happy that we call this the real estate marathon because
absolutely.
it is a marathon?
It's a marathon, and real estate is a marathon, and investment, generally speaking, is a marathon.
Okay.
Now, whatever your objectives are, if you're going into something trying to make a quick buck, there can be distortions. Like everything we bought, as an example, prior to the pandemic, is going to be fine because our horizon was well past the pandemic. So people, the advice that I would give is to really look at things on a longer term increment and be comfortable with that investment you're making, taking into account the world can change, but don't worry about it because I'm not doing this for a day, a week, a month, a year.
Love it. Peter, Sasha was better than you today because you weren't here.
Every day.
Every day. Sasha, I love you. Thank you so much.
My pleasure.